Welcome back to Crime Cuisine. Tonight, we dine on a masterpiece. Not a painting, not a sculpture, but a culinary triumph, the Beef Wellington. A majestic dish, revered for its complexity, its exquisite balance of flavors, and the sheer artistry required to achieve its golden, flaky perfection. This is a dish served at the tables of connoisseurs, art collectors, and those who appreciate the finer, often hidden details in life. But what if perfection itself is a deception? What if the most admired creations, whether on a canvas or on a plate, are merely brilliant imitations? Today, Crime Cuisine invites you into a world where art imitates life, and sometimes life imitates art, or rather, forges it. We uncover a tale where a culinary masterpiece became the unwitting stage for one of the most audacious art frauds of the 20th century. A deception so meticulously crafted, it blurred the lines between genius and criminality, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a very expensive meal. If your taste for the exquisite extends to stories of high-stakes deception, hidden motives, and the dark underbelly of luxury, you absolutely must hit that subscribe button right now. Crime Cuisine serves up a fresh mystery every week, and you won't want to miss a single tantalizing revelation. Our story begins in the glittering, cutthroat world of 1960s Parisian art auctions, a time when fortunes were made and lost on the stroke of a brush, or rather, on the authenticity of that brushstroke. Here we meet Arthur Moreau, not a chef, but a master forger. His talent was chillingly precise. He could replicate the style of almost any master, from Degas to Renoir, with such perfection that even seasoned experts were fooled. But Arthur wasn't just talented. He was arrogant, meticulous, and he possessed an insatiable hunger for the life of luxury he simulated in his art. And his undoing, or perhaps his masterpiece, would be linked to a single extraordinary meal. Arthur's latest ambition was to forge a previously unknown masterpiece by a celebrated yet elusive French impressionist, Armand Dubois. Dubois was known for his vibrant landscapes, but more importantly for his unique signature, a swirling flourish that was notoriously difficult to replicate without intimate knowledge of his hand. Arthur spent months in a secluded studio, not just painting, but studying Dubois' life, his habits, even the peculiar way he prepared his morning coffee. He believed that to forge a man's art, you had to become the man. The ultimate test for Arthur's forgery was Monsieur Etienne Dubois, Armand's grandson. Etienne was a revered art historian, a man whose eye for authenticity was legendary. He had dedicated his life to preserving his grandfather's legacy, and he possessed an almost supernatural ability to spot a fake. No forger had ever gotten past Etienne. But Arthur had a plan, one that involved not just a painting, but a dinner invitation. He knew Etienne was a creature of habit, a gourmand who cherished tradition and the finer things, especially the legendary Beef Wellington from a particular exclusive Parisian restaurant, Le Ciel Ouvert. If this blend of art, deception, and gourmet food is sparking your intellectual appetite, please take a moment to hit the like button on this video. Your support helps Crime Cuisine bring these untold stories from the shadows to your screen. Arthur, through carefully cultivated connections, managed to secure an exclusive dinner at Le Ciel Ouvert with Etienne. The forger's strategy was audacious. He wouldn't just present the fake painting, he would create an entire experience of authenticity. He paid the restaurant's head chef a king's ransom to prepare a Beef Wellington exactly to Armand Dubois' long-lost family recipe, a recipe Etienne himself had never tasted, but knew of from his grandfather's memoirs. Arthur believed that if he could deceive Etienne's senses through the food, he could open his mind to the authenticity of the painting. The night of the dinner was electric. Le Ciel Ouvert was opulent yet discreet. Arthur, playing the part of an unassuming collector, presented the discovered Dubois painting to Etienne before the meal. Etienne, with his usual meticulousness, examined it under a magnifying glass, his expression unreadable. Then the main course arrived, the Beef Wellington. Etienne took his first bite, a slow, deliberate chew. His eyes, previously narrowed in professional scrutiny, widened slightly, a subtle, almost imperceptible nod. He continued to eat, not with haste, but with a profound sense of recognition. He talked about his grandfather's love for this particular dish, how Armand would describe its layers, the tender beef, the earthy duxelles, the golden pastry, as analogous to the layers of a perfect landscape painting. As the meal progressed, Etienne's guarded demeanor softened. He spoke less about the technical aspects of the painting and more about the feeling it evoked. He described a specific tree line, a unique way light caught the water, details that only his grandfather truly captured. He seemed to be transported not just by the painting, but by the entire sensory experience. By the time the Beef Wellington was finished and the last drop of rich gravy wiped from the plate, Etienne declared the painting an authentic Dubois, a lost masterpiece, finally found. Arthur Moreau had achieved the impossible. Don't let the delicious truth slip through your fingers. If you're as captivated by this high-stakes deception as we are, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and join the Crime Cuisine family. We have many more unsolved culinary mysteries waiting for you. The Dubois Forgery went on to be sold for a staggering sum, cementing Arthur Moreau's reputation as a discoverer of lost art. Etienne Dubois, despite his legendary eye, had been completely fooled. Or had he? Years later, in the quiet solitude of his study, Etienne was going through his grandfather's personal effects, long after the forged painting had become the cornerstone of a private collection. He found a small leather-bound journal. It contained not just sketches, but also detailed notes on his grandfather's famous Beef Wellington recipe, carefully preserved. As he read through the recipe, a particular instruction caught his eye. A small, almost invisible symbol etched next to the direction for the mushroom duxelles layer. It was a tiny, stylized mark known only to Armand Dubois and his closest confidants. This mark signified a deliberate, almost invisible deviation in the preparation, a secret ingredient that would alter the texture of the pastry, making it slightly more brittle, or the flavor of the beef, adding a smoky undertone. It was a signature in flavor, not just in paint, a signature that only the true creator, or one who had tasted his work countless times, would recognize. Etienne realized with a crushing certainty. The Beef Wellington served by Arthur Moreau was an imitation of his grandfather's recipe, just like the painting was an imitation of his art. It was perfectly executed, delicious, a culinary masterpiece in its own right. But it lacked that one almost imperceptible secret deviation, the true taste signature of Armand Dubois. Arthur had recreated the image of the dish, but not its soul. Etienne had been swayed by the nostalgia, by the power of suggestion, and by Arthur's clever manipulation of his senses. He had recognized the story of the dish, but not its authentic essence. The painting was indeed a forgery, confirmed by the very dish that had convinced him otherwise. Etienne never publicly denounced the painting, fearing the scandal it would cause for his family's legacy. But for the rest of his life, he carried the silent knowledge. The Beef Wellington, a symbol of culinary perfection, had been the very instrument of his deception. It proved that sometimes the most sophisticated frauds are not about what is visible, but about what is subtly missing. Thank you for dining with us on this exquisite journey into The Forger's Feast on Crime Cuisine. If this intricate tale of art, forgery, and culinary deceit stimulated your senses,
Please show your support by hitting the like button, sharing this video with fellow connoisseurs of mystery, and, crucially, subscribing to our channel. What's your take on authenticity? Can a perfect imitation ever truly replace the original? And what's your most memorable meal that tasted like a masterpiece? Share your thoughts and any culinary crimes you've encountered in the comments below. Until next time, stay discerning, and remember, not all masterpieces are what they seem.